Welcome to VOA's African Hit. I'm Sanoussy Diallo, your host from Washington, D.C. A lot of progress has been achieved since the United Nations established the Millennium Development Goals. But according to UNICEF, there's about 140 million children orphans around the world. Today, my special guest to discuss orphans and, of course, education around the world, more specifically in Africa, is Meron Wudneh. Meron Wudneh, she's the founder of Kids First Africa. Welcome, Meron. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Very good. Pleasure to have you here. And thank you for your time. So, Africa is rich. There's plenty of diamonds and gold and so much research in Africa. But your organization, you said Kids First Africa. What's Kids First Africa? Why Kids First Africa?
Well, Kids First Africa is an organization, it's an NGO. It basically helps orphan children with education and healthcare. Originally, I founded back in 2012. At first, it was Kids First Ethiopia. I started it small. I was sending many school supplies to other organizations as soon as I got there. I mostly worked with Mary Joy. That's how I started everything off. And then I eventually evolved and, got my own kids and started doing their education.
When the Kids First Africa was launched, and how many kids you have been able to assist, and what's the current number of orphans that you're assisting right now?
As far as orphanages that are enrolled in my organization, at the moment we have 26. It's a little bit away from our city. Ethiopia's capital city is Addis Ababa. I feel like we have a lot of resources in that area, so that's why I kind of want to venture out a little more into the rural areas. So it's a bit an hour away from the city. It's 26 kids that we do sponsor, and we take care of all their school supplies, their uniforms, books, clothing, and also healthcare.
Now tell me a little bit about those kids, because I'm eager to understand why those kids are orphans. What's the reason behind it? Why these kids are orphans, these adorable kids? Why are they orphans? What happened to their family, parents?
Most of them, they lost their parents to HIV and AIDS. Some of them, they were just found in the street, but they're in that area. They don't have parents. If they do, most of them, they have the case of the HIV and AIDS, one in there, or they're with their grandparents, and they don't have the money, the resource to accommodate themselves every day. Their living is ridiculous compared to, it's like unimaginable, because one child is living at a house, people that they don't know, but they're working on the farms, they're feeding, cows, goats. That's how they're allowed to live, even at the person's house that's not their relative.
And what we're talking about here, how old are these children here? We talk about 5, 7, 20, what's the age here?
Younger, they start at like 4.
4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And
they take them in. They take them in to help them with their farms. They're not worried about their future. They're more worried about their grains to provide for their family, not necessarily the child's future.
Right.
And that's one of the things that bothered me a little bit. Being that I did work with other organizations, I did get to see the effects and how I can. I normally didn't want to start my own,
right,
but I saw the effects of giving money to the child didn't really benefit them as much, because that little, if you put Ethiopian dollar monthly of their earnings of what organization was giving to them,
right,
it's really nothing. $2 a month to them is something big. So I don't want to be like, here's money for you. No, they're eager to go to school, they're eager to learn, but the only thing that's stopping them is uniform, books, and somebody telling them you could do this. That's all they were missing. So I'm glad I started off that way.
It's a wonderful job. It's an amazing job. Now, how do you select those kids? What's the procedure to select them? Are you in contact with their aunties, maybe other relatives of the family? And how do you select them? What's the criteria? Is there any specific criteria to for the selection?
Of course.
Right.
That process is not necessarily all on me. It's first the director of the school. The school that they're at is called Maranatha Primary School. The director there, he knows the kids. Like when they come in late in the morning, or they go off and they're crying on their own and they come, or they're fainting in class, or they're too tired, they're not learning. He picks up on that and he does his background check on them. Who are they? Who are this? And he writes their name down, and then he gets in touch with the regional, like the county, you would say the government, and they have all that information. So once they say yes, it's okay, you can help them, they're old friends, they need support, then I take him into my family. So they have to go through all that, because I can't just because somebody says, yo, I need help, I'm an orphan, coming from the States, they need more help. So
you offer, of course, school supply, clothes and books for them to be able to pursue their educational goal, but also you assist them with mentorship. What kind of mentorship program you have available for them?
Mentorship, that's more of our motto, actually. That's what I go by. The best gift you can give to a child is mentorship and education. That's more on my side, is on the females. Do that, they are on the rural side of the area. They really don't know women can do more than just being in the house and doing the cooking, and that you can do your education, you could become a doctor. That's not only a male's job, and that's one of the main reasons the mentorship is to help the girls, let them know you could be whatever you want in your dream. So mentorship is more focused on the girls on my side. That's what I provide for them. I bring all of my friends as far as doctors, designers that are well established in Addis, and we always go bring them down to where the girls are at, and we sit down and
have a conversation,
go. And it's amazing the difference of telling, they look at a group of girls, say like 5 girls sitting down, and they see us, they're like, oh, look, I could do this too. They have, but it's not. It's just more of a motivation for them, and that's.
And it means a lot as a child. Also, as a child who grew up without my parents, I know how it's like to grow up without your parents.
Yes.
Sometimes people think, oh, it's all about, the kids has to go to school, but it's not just school. You have that love that you need. That surround yourself with people who are positive, who give you good words, who motivate you to attempt your goals. So that's definitely very important.
Very true. Your upbringing definitely has a lot to do with that, and I always say that I'm so I want to be nowhere where I'm at without my I would say perfect mother or father. So
now we all know that running an organization, a non-for-profit organization, it's a lot of challenge.
Very.
What is your greatest challenge right now?
I would say one, not being there to be having more kids, to put more kids in my organization and expand even more throughout Ethiopia, and financial wise as well, because if somebody sponsors, say just for that 1 year, if they don't commit to another year, that falls on me, because I don't want the child to not go back to their once they started. So I would say that. And then the culture clash, I would say recently, one of the sad ones that I'm learning too, in the rural areas. Movies, you get to see back in the day, the stories, like one of the girls in the organization, back in the day, how they do marriage is they kidnap the girls and they take them, rape them, So one of the girls, she's tall, she's only 12 years old, and so a guy kidnapped her, but he took her for marriage, not realizing the girl is, so those struggles kind of hit me, because I was raised here, so those barriers. So I would say those are kind of my struggles too. Now
let's talk about the financial aspect, because we know those kids, they need school supply, books and clothes. It all involves money. How are you able to find that money? How are you able to find donors and in order to sustain your financial needs? How are you able to do that?
Mostly, currently, most of them are the kids are by me, and I also have Mr. Darajazodi. He sponsors almost 11, 12 kids. He's actually the owner of here downtown DC, MK Lounge.
Okay.
He went and saw the kids, and he's very interactive with them. And Mr. Andala, he lives in Addis, restaurant owner. So it's more of when I'm out, most of my friends that come and I tell them I'm doing this, they come and see. It's more, the more people are involved and the more they see the kids, the more I'm successful financially helping them. So yeah, right now I'm lasting because of my sponsors. It's mostly because of Mr. Dodi and Mr. Andala.
And you're going to continue lasting. You're doing an amazing job out there, helping those kids out. It can only last, so definitely. Now, I have a question from our viewers. Actually, they have a question because they're asking, how tall are you? It's a question.
That's everybody's question. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, flat foot, barefoot, I'm 6 feet on the dot. So okay. With heels, yeah, I'm 6'3", 6'4", right. But flat foot, right. 6 on the dot.
You are also Miss Africa USA 2014-15.
Yes, yes.
They want to know what spurred that dream, what motivates you to pursue your pageant ambition and becoming a role model, fashionist, and if I can put it that way, because somehow you're a fashionist, right? So they want to know what's still that dream actually.
To be honest, I can't tell you when I was a little girl, I was into pageant. I was definitely a tomboy. All I knew was basketball. I never did hair, makeup, none of that. But I did do modeling school when in my teen years. I did like modeling. I love taking pictures. I was very photogenic, so it was easy for me to translate into that. After I finished college, I did move to New York. I did a little bit of modeling. And then that's when designers and, you know, everybody's like, oh, you should try pageants, da, da, da. And I didn't think that was for me, but I did end up doing it. And my first one was top model of Ethiopia, and that was in Egypt, and then Miss Ethiopia USA, and then Miss Africa USA. And I think Miss Africa USA benefited me a little bit more because I was still more into, you know, humanitarian projects way before I was into pageants in general. When I graduated high school, I had like over 1,000 hours of community service helping kids. So my work started before, so my platform just fit in with the pageant industry. And
so pretty much Miss Africa USA was a platform for you to be known as someone who cares about others, pretty much. So summarize to us those years, because you've been Miss Africa USA for a year. Mm-hmm. Summarize briefly what it's like to be a Miss Africa USA in 1 year. What have you accomplished? Because I know it's a lot of work involved. Oh, yes. It's not just taking pictures no more.
Yes, it's definitely a lot more work than what's out there, to be honest with you. You're being an example to the youth. So you have to watch everything that you're doing, because somebody's like, oh, I want to be just like her. So if somebody is saying they want to be just like you, you have to watch what you're doing. Right. Be a great example for them. For me, it was definitely a learning experience, being that, you know, I'm, of course, Ethiopian. I represent in Ethiopia, but being in East Side, we were never colonized. So that, to me, was a blessing and a curse. But I was never introduced to the West, the North, to the South, and how many similarities, the culture, the dances, the tradition, especially the West of Nigerian, Ghanaians, jollof rices, everything. So it was all that, and went to a lot of other foundation, many great people, of course, UN ambassadors, a lot of great network for me to expand on everything that I was doing, and definitely an amazing journey. And me to be an ambassador of Africa and show that, of course, my country as well, Ethiopia.
Okay. Now we're going to move to the second round. I have a 5 question for you that you will have to answer. Yes, and those questions are questions about Africa and America. We want to know how much you know about Africa and how much you know about America. 5 questions, 2 are on America and 3 on Africa. Here's the first question. Are you ready? What percentage of all the land on the planet Earth does Africa cover?
20% in the whole, and 6% as... It's 20%.
You got it. Yeah. Now, moving on to the second question. What is the capital of Angola? Is it Kampala, Conakry, or Luanda?
Luanda.
You got it. How many different languages are spoken across Africa? About 57, about 600, about 3,000.
All of Africa?
Yeah.
The last one, about 3,000.
You're right. It is estimated that around 3,000 different languages are used across the continent of Africa. Pretty impressive. Now, moving to US. Which state on the Gulf of Mexico is nearest the end of the alphabet? Is it Vermont, Texas, Utah?
Texas.
You got it. How many stars are in the flag of the United States? 60, 50, 75, 20. How many stars are in the flag of the United States? 60, 50, 75, or 20?
Can I let Trump answer this? Say 50.
Oh man, I'm sure we're going to stay here for another hour.
50.
How many?
50.
You got it right. And I believe that's all the 5 questions, and you got 5 correct. So you pretty know your map. You pretty know your country.
You have me scared. I'm like,
you pretty know your country. So now, you know, we're in the music segment. VOA's African Hit is a music countdown show. And now we're going to move on to music. How much music influenced you, actually?
For me, a lot. I told you, everybody has their own outlet.
Okay.
Ethiopian music and basketball was always my outlet. I've been obsessed over our dancing since I was like 3 years old. If a music clip was on, I'm glued to the TV. I don't care if you tell me there's $1 million standing right there. If Ethiopian clip is on, my eyes was glued. So I would say I'm over obsessed with music, especially African music.
Right. On that note, what will you tell people who wants to support you with this organization, Kids First Africa? What will you tell them in order for them to join your cause? What can you tell? We have millions of people watching us right now. What do you tell them in order for them to believe to your cause, and how people can donate, how people can join this organization, Kids First Africa?
To learn more, I would say first you can visit the website. So it's www.kidsfirstafrica.org. They can learn everything about, as far as, our mission, our platform, what we have done, the amazing pictures of their kids, their stories, and what we're doing. So the website gives you a lot of insight on everything. You can get involved in 2 ways. One, as you said, is donating, and the other one is, of course, you could drop off clothes, school supplies. I have locations in DC, Maryland, Virginia, New York. You could also email, contact us. Everything is on the website that they do need to know. And I'm not more so even focused, everybody has their own different passion. Mine was just kids and orphanages, and that's what I wanted to work towards. There's other foundation that does, elderly, other diseases, everything that. So do your research and try to help every time you go back. A lot of diasporas, we go back the winter times, December, January. I see all of my friends back in Ethiopia. So at that time that you're there, I would say at least take a week's time. And like I said, the mentorship. If somebody's want to learn computer science, just do a computer science class of what you learned here, and give back. That's a sense of give back. It's not always about money donations as well. That's educational. Is more valuable for them. So do the best that you can and try to help each other.
And also, what other organization need to know about your organization, Kids First Africa? You also support other organizations by providing them the tools they need to pursue their missions and vision.
Yes.
So organizations out there who definitely want to get in touch with you, they can visit your website right down below in order to get in touch with you and see how you guys can do some great job together.
Yes, that's definitely true, and that's how I started in the beginning. So I always follow through with that. I have 4 other organizations that I actually work with in Ethiopia as far as the clothing. I have 26 kids, so of course I give them the first, and Mary Joy, to George, Macedonia, all those I always give. I always go with a lot of luggage, so I always tend to help out. So any other African countries, I don't care if it's in Nigeria, South Africa, Morocco, it doesn't matter to me. I always willingness to help. So other organizations that need my support, I'm definitely here to help.
I remember we met, the first time we met was at one of the events of Miss Africa. It was in 2015. And I remember running after you I gave you one of the Going Home T-shirt,
Yes.
which is also a film documentary about the life of two artists who have not been back to Africa for the past 15 years. And the second time I met you was actually at Station 1, and you told me you was traveling to Africa.
Yes.
And I asked you, what are you doing there? And you told me about your organization. You was going to work for your organization. And since that day, I've always been interested in sitting down with you, have a conversation about what you want to do and what you're doing and why you're doing it. And today we have that conversation. I have learned a lot, and I'm sure the viewers also have been able to learn a lot from your ambition in life, not just as a tall girls who, you know, as a fashionist, as a pageant, as a Miss Africa USA, but also someone who's decent, who's doing a great job out there, try to help out people. I think that's definitely the moral that we should get from this. Once again, Meron Wudneh, I want to thank you for your time. It's a pleasure to have you on this platform and have a decent conversation with you about children, helping children around the world.
Thank you for having me.
Once again, thank you, and thanks to Kid First Africa and all the organization.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.